For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Christopher No, but I do want to share how meditation can impact your health and well-being and why it is so important, not just because someone says you need to do mindfulness or you just need to do more breathing or because these other exercises are helpful. So as usual, we do drawings here. We can all agree that everyone needs energy to function, right? Like everyone always says this, I don't have enough energy. I feel so down, feels like someone drained me. Some of you have used those terms, I assume, yes? So if that is correct, then most of us, if we're happy, I'll just make a happy face here. So most of us want to be through life and be like fully energized, but sometimes that doesn't work all the time. And so we actually feel like, I don't know how to make a sad face, down in the dumps like this. And so we just really have a lack of energy. So that lack of energy is when we feel down and depressed, or when we feel like we can't do what we want to do or be as successful as we want to be successful. And people are always like, oh, I want to have more energy. I want to take these new supplements. I want to do these new treatments. I want to do this new healing modality, all in the sense to get well-being. Now, there's many ways and many things to do this, but suppose that you could suppose there was a mechanism that allowed you to understand how and why you get energy. And so once I took pranic healing, where this comes from, and it was understood from a mechanistic and principle point of view versus a feeling point of view, because I'm not a very feeling kind of person, uh, I'm getting better. That's why I have a wife and stepdaughter, and they make me understand emotions. But the big thing with this is once it was broken down, this is what I do with my clients and my patients and anyone that I work with. When it was explained this way, it made a lot more sense. So most of us just say focus on the physical body like this, and we try to eat right. We sometimes get certain procedures done medically. We might go to the chiropractor or osteopathic physician. You might get surgery, whatever. Or you might go constantly. You might go to therapy. There's many things to try to make you feel better. But suppose that we know that we all have a physical body. And if you understand physics, the physical body is the most dense. So say that's like at this level here. So we'll just say this level is what we call physical, right? So if we have multiple levels, I'll just go up like this. This one right here is physical. Now, most of us have a physical body, and that's why we all, have to eat and we take supplements or we do whatever to try to help the physical body. But we also have emotions. So emotions, you can't really see them, but you can feel them, right? And so it's just we could say suppose it's a higher frequency and vibration. And so say this is emotions right here. So this is physical, and we'll say, since it's emotions, we'll say it's pink. And then we all think, right? Some of you might have heard the term monkey mind, or your mind runs 1,000,000 miles per minute, or you have thoughts and can't turn them off. Has anyone said that before? So we could say this is where your thoughts are. Say this is like thinking up in this range. All right. Now, the interesting thing is this. Once I understood this one concept we're about to talk about, it made so much more sense. Most people, when they get treatment, they only really focus on the physical realm. They only really focus here, right? So you might get, for example, like supplements, or you might get nutrition, or you might get surgery. They all focus, because we have a physical body, they all focus on this realm a lot. Now, the interesting thing do you guys agree or not agree that sometimes your emotions or your thoughts affect your physical state, right? Someone makes you pissed off, the rest of your body doesn't feel very good, or it feels really tight and condensed and uncomfortable. And then other days where you're super joyous, everything just flows, you can like run a mile and do all this kind of stuff. So as a lot of people teach, your state or your emotional state affect your physical body. So all these things over on this side here are really all interconnected. And that's important to know, because if you only address one of these components here, for example, just the physical, and you don't address these other two up here, then there's going to be a lack of flow of fuel reaching those parts. So in actuality, for health to occur, energy has to continuously flow. Let's make this brighter. Energy has to continuously flow back and forth between all these states. Does that make sense? So if energy is flowing between all these states here, but say you have a moment where you have a physical blockage, like say you have an ailment or say you have something bothering your physical body, something's blocking that flow. So there's a lack of flow in the physical. Or say, for example, someone really pisses you off and you're really, really angry. So we'll say in the emotional level, something is blocking you off there and it's affecting you. So say something blocks you there. Or say you have a thought that just repeats in your head over and over and over, or someone pissed you off, and then you just keep on thinking about them, even if it's 10 years later. But that thought is still bothering you over and over and over. Now, if you have all these little things floating around, is it kind of harder for the energy to move in, or does it have to like sort of wiggle its way through to interact with all these things? Does this make sense? Right? You know, like those shifting sand things, like how you see the balls or try to get sand through a shifter or sifter, and something blocks one of the holes and doesn't work as well. It's sort of like that. So if there's a blockage in any of these levels, it makes it a lot harder for your body to recover. Now, here's the interesting part. In order for, say, the energy, we'll say another plane at this level to interpenetrate into the physical, there's actually a very thin layer of energy right here. And that's where someone that understands like energy work, whether it's Reiki or acupuncture or something like that, they can affect at this level and remove that blockage so that also these things can flow. And that's why after acupuncture or something like that, you feel a lot better. If you go to therapy or a counselor, you're basically taking like these things here when you're talking to them and spitting them out at the counselor, right? So you feel better, but over time they get affected. If you've ever been in healthcare, you see a lot of people get burned out. Actually, burnout is when the patient is spitting all their stuff at the counselor or whoever, and then you have this state of the practitioner. So that's just a side note if you ever do any of that work. Does this make sense, or am I completely off kilter here? Okay. Now, here's the wonderful thing. It's good to do all this stuff like surgery, making sure you're eating right, doing all the things you're supposed to do on this side. That helps in this realm. In addition, when you work on your state, your emotional state, you're less reactive and other things like that, counseling, therapy, whatever, that helps this realm. But if there was a way that you could rapidly just remove all that stuff quickly without having going through weeks and months of, we'll say, working out your thoughts and emotions, wouldn't that be more beneficial? And so that's why this meditation is so powerful, because this meditation will simply just remove things at these levels as well, so that it just can clean things out. And then you can have someone that knows how to work on you from this standpoint. You can really focus on those type of things. That's how all this works together. So by continuously doing this meditation, obviously we go through life, you can continuously remove these blockages before they occur in this level. That's why, like, some people you might know, they have fatigue and other things, but medically they can't find anything until years later because it might be affecting them at this level. It just hasn't materialized yet in their physical body. Anyway, we go a lot deeper into that in the actual classes we teach regarding how to use the energy. But if you know someone or something that can work on understands it on all three levels, and they can work with people and help you get what you need at each individual level, then that's probably beneficial to you, yes? Because then you don't have to guess, am I trying this thing? Am I trying this thing? Am I trying this thing? So by doing the meditation we're doing tonight, we can really impact these two levels and partially that thin layer that we talked about here, and then allow your body to get the energy it needs so you can function more like this. Is everyone following? Does that help you understand why and how this meditation is also beneficial? So we just like to give these little talks before so you understand why you're doing the meditation, instead of just saying it's one of those things where I'm just going to do this because someone told me to. If you have an understanding why you're doing it, hopefully it'll allow you to join in. And when there's a group of people like this, the effect of the meditation is even stronger. So for every 7 people doing this particular meditation together is stronger than 100 people individually doing the meditation. So we have more than 7 here. So that's why some of you that come to this event, it feels very powerful because there's more than 7 here. All right. Okay. Hopefully you had a good meditation. How many of you were able to it just was quiet? So that's the power of understanding this process. A lot of people think that you have to put something in to improve and get better. But in actuality, the secret is removing all this stuff first. And once you remove all that stuff, then that's when something can move in and fill up the whole system. So there's a certain order to how things work. So you sometimes just have to clean things out before you can put something in. And that's the secret to inner peace and stillness. You have to remove all the old stuff before you can put in the good stuff. Make sense?